So this is my January 2021 Solar PV and Tesla Powerwall 2 performance here in the UK, along with our Tesla Model 3 and Hyundai Kona electric costs and usage. So stay tuned. Hi, John here and welcome. In this video, I'm going to take you through our Solar PV and Tesla Powerwall 2 performance for the month of January 2021. Yeah, it's another month rolled by. Plus our usual stats and usage information for our Tesla Model 3 and our Hyundai Kona electric and myenergi, eddy and zappi. In the description down below is a list of all our components for our system. So please have a look down there if you're not familiar with our setup. It gives you all the components, the sizes, the spec, etc. Also, if I could ask you to please comment, like and share. Any of these actions really help get this video shown to more people on YouTube, which obviously in turn helps my channel grow. So thank you for that in advance for those that do. Okay, let's get straight into it then. I thought for a change, being that it's the new year, I'd actually start with the cars. So change from our normal format. So the Tesla Model 3 has covered a massive 21 miles during the month, bringing its total mileage to 8,191 miles. I think actually that most of those 21 miles were when I was swapping cars around on the driveway to line them up for charging. We've got sort of one zappi charger, and I need to shuffle the cars around to be able to charge one, which is the furthest away from the charger. We have actually got a 7-metre long lead, but it's not quite long enough to reach both cars. So I ended up having to shuffle them around to be able to charge both of them one at a time. Although we only did 21 miles, we did pump in 139 kilowatt hours of electricity into the Tesla. For most of the month, I was keeping the cars around sort of 40 to 50% state of charge to take any advantage of the opportunity to charge some excess solar. However, towards the end of January, we had a potential of a hospital visit some 150 miles away due to a family illness. So it meant that I topped up the Tesla to 90%, so it was on standby for that potential phone call and then that potential visit or trip. The 21 miles covered in the Tesla during the month cost us £0.79 per mile. It's probably less than that figure, as I calculated it using our average Agile costs over the course of the month, which was 11.94 pence per kilowatt hour. However, as I always charge on the cheapest rate during the early hours of the morning, I know it will be cheaper than what I've quoted there. But, you know, the figure's close enough not to need a bank loan to cover the difference. The Kona covered 204 miles in the month and now has a total mileage of 10,906 miles. All charging was done at home, where we added 86.38 kilowatt hours via the myenergi zappi. The 204 miles covered in the Kona during the month cost us £0.05 per mile. And again, I've used that same average figure as I did for the Tesla. So that's the cars covered. Obviously not much mileage happening due to lockdown. What else then? Oh, yeah, let's go and have a look at some sunshine figures now, shall we? Now, I don't know if you've noticed, you probably have, but here in the UK, it's now getting light till around 5 p.m. And we're actually generating solar earlier in the day and also still generating later on in the daytime now. So, for example, our earliest start of our solar day was 8:05 in the morning on the 31st of January, whereas at the beginning of the month, beginning of January, it was around 9 a.m. So that's the time when we actually start generating electricity from our solar panels. Our latest end-of-day solar, e.g. when we are still generating and there's a little bit of sunshine or daylight left, on the 27th of January, it was at 14:20, so 20 minutes past 4. In contrast with that early in January, it was around 3 p.m. or 1500 hours. So yeah, not massive increases, but it's nonetheless encouraging. So how did we get on then in January? In January, we produced a total of 210 kilowatt hours from our two separate PV arrays. We had an average daily solar generation of 6.8 kilowatt hours for the month. January was a bit sort of ping-pong month really. Some sunny days, some grey days, and a couple of snowy days too. You will see that when we look at the day-by-day chart later. But even on the snowy days, we did manage to generate some solar electricity once the snow had been cleared off the panels, because it was a nice clear blue sky and some sunshine. So it did actually manage to melt the snow and allow us to generate some electricity, which is good. If we look at the split of both arrays, our 4 kilowatt array produced 142 kilowatt hours, and our newer 2.34 kilowatt array produced 68 kilowatt hours. Comparing that to January last year with an identical setup, you can see that we managed slightly more in 2020, another 31 kilowatt hours over the course of the month. And if you recall, in early January 2020, cast your mind back, we had a bit of a mini sunfest. And actually February was really unusual. Jill's birthday is towards the end of February, and we were around and about in T-shirts. It was that warm. I don't know if we're going to get the same this year, but February's going to be a hard figure to beat. And we'll see what that is when I do this at the end of February. So, how did you get on? Let me know in the comment section how you got on with your own solar generation. And obviously if you have solar, I do really appreciate you commenting and adding your totals down below in the comments of what you achieved and your system size. Other viewers also like to read your comments too. So it becomes a bit of a win-win situation. So thank you in advance to those of you who do comment and add your totals. It is really much appreciated by me and others alike. So let's scroll on and have a look at our percentage of contribution that Powerwall did and solar to our overall self-power. Our Powerwall is in cost-saving mode. We're on the Octopus Energy, with Octopus Energy on their Agile tariff. Battery provides the power to the house during our peak period of 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. every day. So during January, we were 41% self-powered from the Powerwall and solar contributions. As you can see on this stacked chart here, 11% came from solar generation and 30% came from the Powerwall. If we move down and have a look at the peak and off-peak self-power split, the Powerwall did a good job supplying the home's power needs during that peak period between 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. Within the Tesla Powerwall app, I've actually extended the peak period time slot out to 8 p.m. as electricity pricing can sometimes still be a little bit high at that time of night. So in effect, the peak self-powered figure here is for 4 hours from 4 p.m. through to 8 p.m. inclusive. The percentages on this chart represents the performance of the Powerwall's ability to supply the house rather than pulling from the grid to meet the house's needs. The months along the bottom are only populated with data when we are in cost-saving mode with the Powerwall. The red columns represent the 4-hour peak period. And looking at January 2021's column, for 98% of the time in that 4-hour peak period, we were on battery power with no pull from the grid. So just 2% was grid energy during that peak time. Now, I don't have the exact figures yet for my electricity bill as it hasn't arrived at the time of making this video. However, I have extracted the data from the Octopus Watchdog app, and it shows that we use 3.13 kilowatt hours of usage for a cost of 90 pence, which equates to that 2% grid pull over that 4-hour peak period over the course of the month. So small change basically. The green column represents the remaining 20 hours of the day, and during that time we are on battery and solar for just 4% of the time. And we'll certainly see that percentage increasing now as the daylight extends at the beginning of the day and at the end of the day, giving us a slightly longer solar generation potential each day. If we look at the year-on-year chart, so here is the month of January, solar generation going back to 2012. And 2012 to 2019 totals are for our original 4 kilowatt system. The 2020 onwards, the last 2 years, are for both arrays. And if you recall, the original 4 kilowatt array produced 142 kilowatt hours in January 2021. And the new array managed 68 kilowatt hours, giving us that 210 total that you can see there. So it's off to a fair start in January. However, I think we will be trounced by February. You can have a look at the column there when we get to that in next month, but I doubt we'll get anywhere near it because, as I said earlier, it was so good. T-shirt weather in February. Moving on, have a look at the Powerwall in and out. The Powerwall had a 90% round trip efficiency for the month for what we managed to store versus what it was able to supply. We stored 379 kilowatt hours and the Powerwall supplied 342 kilowatt hours. This is a day-by-day chart, so it gives you a little bit more detail on what happens day by day. The legend for this is the blue is the house usage, yellow is solar generation, orange is export to the grid, and red is import from the grid. And just looking at the sunshine side of things, one really sunny day, which was the 22nd January, where we managed to generate just under 23 kilowatt hours, which is quite remarkable. The rest of the month was fairly low numbers, between sort of 5 kilowatt hours and 10 kilowatt hours each day. So I guess in summary, sort of low but consistent solar generation. Certainly better than December 2020, which is a good thing because that was a fairly poor month. If we look at the overall totals chart, so this chart shows us our overall totals for the 4 data sources that we've just looked at on the day by day. House usage is probably the key one, which is in blue, and that shows that we've used 1.226 kilowatt hours or 1,226 kilowatt hours over the course of the month. Already covered the solar, and the remaining 2 data sets on that chart I'm going to cover in a bit more detail on the following charts. So it's just there for completeness rather than covering it in this section. In fact, neatly, we're going to go on to it now. This chart looks at our daily average grid and house usage. It shows what we've pulled from the grid over the course of the month, and our daily average house usage is down a tad actually against December. So it's at 39.6 kilowatt hours, down from 40.8 kilowatt hours, and that's the blue line at the top of that chart. And then on average each day, we pulled 33.6 kilowatt hours from the grid. Again, this too is down from December's figure of 36.5. That's the red line shown on the chart. So averages are down, which is good. Moving on, let's have a look at what we sent to the grid. That's what this chart represents. So we sent 8.2 kilowatt hours of excess solar generation back to the grid in January. Real great improvement on the previous month. So yay, a big up for January. In terms of what we pulled from the grid, this chart tracks that. So a total of 1,041 kilowatt hours from the grid. Again, less than what we pulled in December. So again, good news. And finally, just have a look at the eddy. So this chart is for the eddy, which heats our hot water by diverting excess solar energy once the Tesla Powerwall battery is full. Small improvement on December's totals and better than January last year, but still only 10 kilowatt hours of electricity diverted from excess solar. For the year, that makes 10 kilowatt hours. As it's January. I had to double check that when I went in. 10 out of 10, that can't be right. But yeah, it's January. So for the year, it's the same as the month. Gives us an overall running total of 478 kilowatt hours of diverted solar to heat our hot water, and obviously therefore not using gas to do it. So there you go. So, as I said right at the beginning, please comment, like and share. Any of those actions are very much appreciated. Helps the channel grow. Thank you for watching. Any comments, drop them down below and I'll respond to them. And I'll see you on the next video. All right, take care. Bye.